So a short while ago, I was testing the AV1 encoder on a couple of video cards. Now I did go and take a look at the B570, which currently is in my Intel rig behind me. I also found out that the 9060 XT, the RX 9060 XT, 9070 XT, that those also will use the AV1 encoder in DaVinci Resolve, the free version. So I thought I would try those out. And I seem to remember the A380 being pretty competent at rendering and decoding or encoding an AV1. Much to my surprise, when we did this in 1440, it didn't work out very well. So I thought I'd go back and do it in 1080. Okay, so what I actually did is I took the A750 from the previous launch, the A380, which went neck and neck in 1080p AV1 encoding, and the B570, which at the time of the release, the B570 and the A750 were neck and neck. So all three of these cards were probably just slightly out of margin of error, with the A380 being slightly worse, the A750 and the B570 being pretty close in AV1 encoding. I wanted to go back and look because I didn't kind of believe that my testing was right, that it was so far off with 1440p between the B570 and the A380. Turns out, yeah, it's that far off. I ran several tests and I came to find out that A380 was actually on the average almost twice as slow at 1440, which prompted me to go back and say, okay, but I remember these being more close at 1080p. Let's go find that out. So what I did is I took all three of these Intel cards, and the last video that I did, if you haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and tag it up here or something. It was trouble with secure boot, but it was 10 minutes, 53 seconds long. It was recorded in 1440 at 60. I went ahead and did that at 1080p to render again. And the test on that for the B570 were pretty good. It was around 1 minute and 48 seconds, I believe was around the average. Which I thought was pretty decent. It was a little bit quicker than the 200, I think it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds it was at 1440. So I was feeling pretty good that we had seen a difference here. And that it was about 30 seconds or so, if I remember correctly. Maybe 220 something. I don't remember. I just know that I did mark down it was 1 minute and 48 seconds for the B570. So then I tested the A750, which is last year just below the top. The top was the 770, the A770, and I got my hands on the A750. Now, I will have to tell you, the A750 is probably one of the prettiest cards that I have in my collection. It's the regular, I guess Intel would call it the reference version. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful card. It's the one made by Intel, and it is a very, very sleek looking card. And it still performs fairly well. Now, it was slower than the B570, which means the B570 has gotten more upgrades, which sends me to another video that we will do later. But we're going to go back and test these again against each other to see how these cards do in gaming and some other things, what the difference has been since the last time we tested. But in this case, we're just looking at AV1 encoding on the free version of DaVinci Resolve. And we got... The first run was about 2 minutes and 54 seconds. After that, it hung right about in the 230 frame. I did several tests with this and got 230 and 226. So we're talking about after it does the first run, it averaged between 225 and 230. Not too bad. Not as fast. Obviously, 45 seconds slower, which kind of surprised me a little bit. 45 seconds slower than the B570. I don't guess it should have, but it did. 45 seconds slower than the B570, but still respectable. 2.5 minutes to render a 10-minute video. I'm okay with that. Well, almost 11-minute video. I'm all right with that, especially 1080p, 60 frames per second. Not too bad. What surprised me is these used to hang, the A380 used to hang right with these other cards. In fact, I was really pleased that for a while, the A750 and the A380 both were very, very close to each other in rendering 1080p. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. In fact, it's really not the case, because when I ran several runs of this, the longest time that I got was 3 minutes 27 seconds, and the fastest was 3:07. And all the other ones kind of fit right there in between. So an average of around 317-ish, as opposed to the near, you know, 2 minutes and 30 something seconds. Again, now it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you look at that and think that it's twice as long as the B570, it's a good thing that this A380 only cost about 100, maybe 105, $110 on eBay, because it's now don't get me wrong, the AV1 encoder is a good tool. It's a good encoder, and still 3 minutes is not that long. It's not too bad. It's your cuts your video time into a third when it's trying to render, and I'm sure it's being held back a little bit by that 6 gig of memory on there. But I was surprised that at one time these fought pretty close, and now they're quite a bit away. I also thought that they would keep up a little bit better in gaming. And like I said, we'll do a video a little bit later on. I'm doing some benchmarks and some testing, and what I'm finding, yeah, spoiler, what I'm finding is that A380 doesn't have the improvements or the upgrades, or the driver support has not been improved near as much as even the A750, and definitely not as much as the B570. The Battle Mage Intel cards have seen some pretty significant improvement, and it's really separated itself from the Alchemist cards, the original A series cards. It's turned into something. I remember AMD used to do that with their video cards. It would come out and you would have some struggles with some of the drivers, and then it just kept getting better as it went on. I think Intel has actually, if I can say this, and without people laughing at me or even me laughing at myself, I think Intel has done a better job improving their graphics drivers than even AMD did when they were trying to improve theirs. I think it's just been that good. It's such a learning experience they had when they first put out the Alchemist to the Battle Mage, and now there are improvements from Battle Mage to now. And as they're talking about maybe a B770, which I would love to see, my thought was I was just going to go ahead and get a B580 when the price of those came down. Well, now they're below MSRP. The MSRP was about $250. It's $249. Now you can find those cards for about $229. I thought about doing that until I started hearing rumors, and then more rumors, and then more what could almost be substantiated, that it does look like we're going to get a 700 series card, either a 750 or a 770. That being the case, I think it's more prudent for me to hang on and buy that card and compare, because it would be far and away better than the B570 is. And the B570 only trails that 9060 XT, the AMD offering, by a little bit. I mean, it's noticeable, but it's not that much. And for the price, it's not horrible. So yeah, I am, like I said, I'm going to do some more testing. That's going to be in a future video. So don't forget to, be subscribed, catch that video when it comes out. But in this case, I was really, really wanting to look at the AV1 encoder. The quality is going to be pretty much the same. It's the length of time that it's taking to render that surprised me, that it is such a disparity. It's almost twice as long now for that A380 than it is the B570. And you would think that would be common sense, but when these cards, when they were first released and when I was first comparing them, they were very, very close. And now, as time goes on, they're getting much, much further away. Don't let that discourage you, though. If you're looking for an inexpensive way to render videos, DaVinci Resolve, there's a free version. That's absolutely great. And if nothing else, if you can't afford or don't have it in your budget to get one of the 9000 series AMDs, or can't pay for the DaVinci Resolve version that has the NVENC encoder on it, then by all means, the A380 is going to do you a great job with that free version of DaVinci Resolve, and you'll be able to do AV1 encoding, and it looks great. It's a smaller file size, and the quality is pretty good. So if it's something that you're looking at getting into creating, it's still a great, great option. Gaming's not great, but it's okay. It'll pass. You got to manage your expectations, but it's not horrible. But in any case, I just thought I wanted to compare these again, see where they all sat. And the B570 is a pretty decent distance ahead now of the A750, and even further ahead of the A380. And I at least expected the A series to be closer to each other. But it seems like those upper tier A series cards, the Alchemist cards, are getting more improvements still, which is good. And the Battle Mage cards are getting even greater improvement, even from the last set of tests I ran in October to now. Talking about 3 months, there's still been some improvement in some of those games. But I'm not going to harp on all that. But in any case, if you got anything out of this video at all, found it interesting or entertaining, or just, I didn't know that, go ahead and drop a like on the video. That'd be great. If you're not already subscribed, please do. I think we plateaued a little bit at 1,500 when I said I was just trying to reach 1,500. That's not where I wanted to stop, folks. I appreciate everybody, really, really do, but that's not where I wanted to stop. We want to make this channel into something, and the only way I can do that is with your help. So if you don't mind, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. If you are, thank you. I sincerely appreciate it, and I look forward to trying to do my best to keep you guys entertained and informed. But if you don't do any of that, if you don't visit the socials or don't like or subscribe or anything, that I totally get it. But at least do me one favor, and that's be good to each other. Be kind. It doesn't cost anything to be kind. Might make somebody's day. Might make your day. Just say hi, hold the door open, smile, wave, good morning, anything. Happy New Year. Yeah. Just a little bit of kindness goes a long way, you know. Anyway, until I get myself into something I got no business getting into, and there's more of it because we're going to build an extreme budget PC. We got some of the testing on the Intel stuff to do. I got a mid-size rig over there with a 12400K. Some stuff going on, so stay tuned for it. And until I get myself into that, that is all I have. So I'll see you later.